It is a windy day here in California. Welcome back to my channel as we do a three-part series on rebuilding this CS144 alternator. So the original plan with this unit was just to open her up, clean her up, and possibly just replace some brushes. But she needed way more attention than that. We ended up upgrading the bridge rectifier, putting a new voltage regulator as well as brushes on this unit, and the big one was replacing the slip rings. So come along as we get familiar with the inside of a CS144 alternator and we do a little rebuilding. All right, let's open up this alternator. We're gonna use a 5/16 socket. All right. Let's not lose our pieces here. All right, we're gonna take a look at the rear case here. This is the needle bearing on the CS144. This is an indication that it is a newer version of the CS144. There is an earlier version, so this is the upgrade right here. All right, we're gonna separate the two halves. We're just gonna jiggle it apart and they should separate. All right, that came off pretty easily. The two halves are apart. We're gonna take a look at the slip rings. These are the slip rings right here. We can just clean them up real good so we can inspect them a little closer. And then the stator, this round piece right here with all the wires. All right, we're gonna look at that, clean it up and look at it a little bit more carefully. They're held together with 3 nuts. We'll go ahead and take that off. And in the middle there, you'll see the brushes sticking out. Those rectangular pieces are the brushes. They came out off the holder there. So once we put new ones in, we'll just put a pin in place. That's the procedure. That way we can do reinstallation. So primary reason were the brushes and the slip rings. So we can take a closer look at that. All right, now we're gonna grab the 11/32 socket to remove the stator nuts. 1, 2, 3. All right, so let's remove that stator. The stator was removed and I placed it down there. All right, so nuts are in place so I don't lose them. It looks very dirty in here. So I am gonna do a nice cleanup job. So that means removing some items. So I wasn't really planning on removing everything, but I'm gonna remove everything. We're gonna use a 1/4 socket for these. All right, out of these 2 bolts, this one was the longer one, this one was shorter, more of a stainless steel color, silver, chrome, whatever. This one looks more gold. Here it is. And here's the one on the bottom. And then I'm gonna go ahead and start removing the ones for the bridge rectifier. So this big one should be the stud for the battery, right here. So we can go ahead and remove that first and then start removing these. It is really dirty in here. Here for the battery is a 10. I cracked it open. And that should loosen up the stud there. There it is. I'm gonna put these together so we don't get them lost. And we'll transfer the case back up here. All right, we're gonna start paying attention to which bolts have insulating sleeves and which do not. The top part and the bottom part are different. So the case here has a paper as well, acting as insulation against arcing. All right, so let's go ahead and take off the bolts. I broke them loose. They are a quarter. They have to be broken loose with manually so they don't slip. I'm just gonna loosen them up. Then we'll take a look at what kind of bolt and their length is for each one. That should be it. Yeah. Let's take a look. All right, so we have this one on the far left. All right. Seems to be the same type as the bottom one here. So the top one was longer. Remember that. It was this one right here, the golden one. All right, so I'm gonna keep them in order actually. So we'll do that. All right, next one up. So I don't see anything different so far, except even size. I think they are the same. All right, they're insulated, yeah, but through a plastic piece. They all are so far. Okay, so that's 1, 2. Let's go up the line right on top. This one is not. Okay, it is not insulated. It didn't come with a sleeve. It seems to be my little singing, huh? The same size so far up the line. All right, 2 insulated. So maybe this piece is a positive piece that has insulation. Let's see this top one. If that's the case, this one shouldn't have insulation. And there we are, no insulation on the top piece. All right, so we're about to start removing pieces. So which one comes out first? It is this capacitor right here. All right, this piece sits right below the voltage regulator here. So it's right under it. And then it zigzags over to the top, hitting those 3 holes, right? The top one. It's almost like a washer under the bolt right there. And then this nut right here is where the stator gets connected to, one of them. But it's also where the connection for the voltage regulator is. So, all right, the capacitor sits underneath the voltage regulator. So voltage regulator has to come off first, but one more bolt needs to be removed before we can start removing all these pieces. But voltage regulator first. That piece was a quarter as well. Broke it loose, used the impact to finish taking it off. No insulation on this piece right here. So we're gonna put that. All right, so it's coming from the bottom up. There it is. This is the way bottom going up. Okay, and no insulation on top, which is these 2 right here. 1, 2. Coming down, these are insulated. All right, so we have some looseness going on here. Let's see what can be pulled apart. All right, one of the first things that can be pulled apart is this guy right here. Let's test it out. All right, these are with the brushes. If you see that, they're moving. We're gonna see if we can pull them out. They're held together with springs. All right, so obviously they popped out. And here's the hole where you put a pin, a wire, or a toothpick. All right, let's use both hands so I don't mess up the brushes. All right, and there we are. Here are the brushes with the springs. There's this piece here. All right, we're gonna set this down. Everything needs a cleaning. All right, so this piece is next. This Z-shaped bracket looking thing here. This is your capacitor. And it has 3 mounting holes. As you can see, we have 1, 2, 3. All right, and if you look carefully at this thing, on each side, you'll see darker pieces. These are plastic. It's hard to see right here because it's really dirty. So we'll go ahead and clean this up. But these plastic pieces act as an insulation area here for the mounting. But they're really dirty, so we're going to go ahead and clean these pieces up. All right, so we're going to set that aside. That'll be cleaned properly. We're going to put this nut back on here so we don't lose it. And we're going to see if we can pull this bridge rectifier just out like that. All right, it came right off. I just needed 2 hands, and it came out real easy. This is your bridge rectifier, 140 amps. In the back, you'll see a white plastic piece here, working as an insulating piece for this rectifier. It's showing its age, and it's real dirty, so we're gonna clean it up and we're gonna test it. But I don't see anything broken here, so let's check out the case. Now the case is quite dirty. There's a needle bearing in the middle there, but the whole thing is going to be cleaned up, as well as the parts right here. And then we'll put some ball grease in the middle there. That plastic piece is it surrounds the brushes when they're installed, so maybe to minimize dust. In the back of the case here, we see a black piece of paper. I've seen it called fish paper. It works as an insulating barrier between the case and the rectifier or stator. All right, so it's all apart, but we need to clean every component up. We're gonna see if we can test our components out to see if they're functioning properly. This is your voltage regulator and brush assembly here as one unit. Truly, they are 2 units combined together with a soldering point. So these are your brushes. They're worn out just a bit right there, so I'm going to replace them. So to replace them, you have to just desolder at this point right there, that metal piece that I'm pointing at with my thumb. And they come with springs, and you insert it into the plastic piece right there. They each have a metal clip. That one clips onto the brush assembly holder there. And to reinstall, of course, you have to resolder that point right there. Looks like I dropped some springs here, so careful when moving these components around, especially if you're going to reuse these springs here. When you buy new brushes, they should come with new springs, but it's nice to have spares just in case. You never know, just like I lost mine right now. There it is right there on my shop floor. All right, so that's it for this assembly. Join me on the next one as we put this back together. Please subscribe, like, and comment, and join us for part 2 as we look closer at the slip rings and rebuild this alternator.